Many thanks for joining us. I am Ansumane Sonyasi, and this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios along Kairaba Avenue. Coming up this evening, officials of the Ministry of Works and the OIC Secretariat have met with National Assembly members to give a progress report on projects for the planned hosting of next year's OIC Summit. Fafa Idris Ambai, the first Justice Minister under the AFPRC military junta, on Monday appeared before the Truth Commission to talk about his time in office. Brikama Area Council and project bidders on Tuesday visited 3 communities in Fonyi where boreholes will be constructed. In business news, we have the latest forest rates, and in international news, a rare event in America as a white policeman is convicted of killing a black man, Derek Chauvin, who was captured on camera by a teenager as he knelt on George Floyd's neck till he died, has been convicted of Floyd's murder. And in sports news, the much trumpeted European Soccer League appears to have collapsed before it has even started. Well, for more on these and other stories coming up, do stay tuned. And now we take a look at the news in detail. The National Assembly Select Committee on monitoring the implementation of government projects on Wednesday summoned officials of the Ministry of Works and the OIC Secretariat for an update on the level of projects implementation for the OIC hosting next year. Alucia tells us more.
It is a race against time as the Gambia prepares to host the OIC Summit next year, which it was meant to have hosted in 2019. Hosting of this convergence, the second biggest after UN General Assembly, is expected to put the tiny West African nation in the spotlight. Strict timelines must be respected for a successful hosting. There is a need for high-quality infrastructural developments, such as the expansion of the 22-kilometer Battle Landing Highway from Sting Corner to the Airport Johnson, a 5-star hotel to accommodate guests, an expanded airport for delegate visitors' comfort, improved water and electricity supply, and security for VIP protection and counter-terrorism. So far, only the side of the Kairaba Jawara International Conference Center is ready. Mod Sise, Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Works, informed the National Assembly Committee, chaired by Honorable Suleiman Saho, that the country is on course for a successful hosting, and several donors are committed to supporting the country.
Badia have reached approval stage. They have appraised and approved the project and have submitted the finance and agreement to the Ministry of Finance for review and counter-signation. So also OPEC Fund, Creative Fund and Abu Dhabi, they are almost around the same stage.
What many Gambians are waiting to see is action. However, for the officials of the OIC Secretariat and Ministry of Works, this must be preceded by proper planning and designing ahead of implementation. Yankuba Diba, Chief Executive Officer of the OIC Secretariat, said the primary role of his office is to raise the adequate resources for the hosting. While expressing optimism that proper work will commence soon, Diba believes the infrastructure projects are expected to improve the country's infrastructure generally.
In the area of electricity, we hope to assist NAWEC in terms of changing their transmission and substations in terms of the transformers. So we hope that once we do this, they should be able to greatly improve their T&D. In the area of water, it's part of our project to put up an entirely new water treatment plant.
Mamadou Senghor, Managing Director of National Roads Authority, said the road projects will greatly address the issue of road congestion. Ibrahim Akoli, Projects Manager at the OIC Secretariat, gave a breakdown of funding and timeline for the various components of the project.
VIP Lounge, electricity and water projects are all funded by the Saudi Fund at a total cost of $93 million from the Saudi Fund. For the Battle Landing Highway, it's Kuwaiti Fund, Abu Dhabi, Ofit, Bade, and Gambia government at a total sum of $83 million. $83 million. US. Okay, and for the 50-kilometer, it is anticipated that the total project duration will last for 14 months. The Battle Landing, 24 months, but in 2 phases. Phase 1, 14, and phase 2, 10 months. Water rehabilitation project, 14 months. Electricity project, 12 months, and the VVIP lounge, 12 months. Then the hotel project, 18 to 20 months.
Honorable Samba Diallo, minority leader and a member of the select committee, while acknowledging the efforts to raise the needed resources, raises concerns about whether the country will be able to host the summit. However, officials of the Works Ministry and OIC Secretariat assured him of timely hosting, as they are in close contact with the government and donor partners to actualize the dream of timely completion of the projects. On the issue of demolition and compensation of property along the corridor of the roads, the committee was informed that a survey has been conducted by the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning, and a report is being prepared with notice to be issued for evacuation and compensation of legal occupants. A request was granted to hold matters on procurements in closed-door session. On concerns as to whether or not the limited timeline will compromise the quality of work, it is clear that some components of the projects will only be ready after the summit. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
Now, Fafa Idris Ambai, the first Justice Minister under the AFPRC military junta, on Monday appeared before the Truth Commission to shed light on Gambia's justice system during the 22-year rule of ex-President Yahya Jammeh. Babakar C reports.
It was a marathon, 3-day testimony from Fafa Idris Ambai, one of the longest-serving attorney generals who served in both the First and the Second Republic. He began his testimony with his education background and how he became the Justice Minister during the First Republic, and for the AFPRC junta, after what he said were several attempts to persuade him to take up the position. The conditions he laid down was for the junta to give him full scholarship for his children studying abroad. To this dismay, the AFPRC junta not only failed to honor the agreement, but his contract was terminated, he was arrested, and his assets seized.
I was detained at the Banjul police station until Monday morning when I was escorted by Officer Ba to the Algali Commission. The report in the newspapers was that I have a tax liability of $4 million.
The witness said his main aim of joining the military junta during the transition was to help restore democracy. Instead, he became a victim.
I want to make it very clear for the record that I did not draft any one of those decrees. And where issues relating to the decrees arose, I always made it a point to advise against abuses and violations of human rights. I was an advisor, but I didn't make the decision.
On how the junta used the decrees to victimize people, the witness denied drafting those laws, saying it was the draft section of the Justice Department who drafted those laws. Despite praising the military government in a BBC interview in 1995, the witness made a U-turn, drawing the differences between a civilian government and a military regime.
Nobody has suffered more than I did, except those who lost their lives. That didn't deviate me from my stand firm as an advocate of the rule of law and the observance of democracy and the observance of the rule of law, human rights and good governance.
Fafa Idris Ambai concluded saying he did not regret serving his country, even a military junta, but felt let down by the Jammeh government.
The worst civilian government is better than the best military government.
Nguri civil bo xamne mo gëna bon mo gën nguri soldat bo xamne mo gëna bax.
Babakar C, QTV News.
The Brikama Area Council and project bidders on Tuesday visited 3 communities in Fonyi, where boreholes will be constructed to provide water for the communities. Our reporter Lamin Dabo traveled with the team, and this is his report.
The 2 boreholes will be drilled in Arankon Kunda in Wasadu Ward in Fonyi Jarol District and at Kanwali Kanjibat in Bantanja Ward in Fonyi Bondali District in West Coast Region. At the event, the Chief Executive Officer of Brikama Area Council, Modu Jonga, explains the reason for the visit.
Today's visit is meant to give opportunity to the potential contractors to clarify issues of concern with regards to ensuring the successful implementation of this project, will lead to the scope of work and other required details that they will need to clarify with the technicians from the Department of Water Resources and of course from ourselves. Other projects that we are undertaking in Brikama, the major access routes, that is from the Church Johnson via Methodist Academy via the health center to Newtown Johnson. And then we are also embarking on the construction of about 88 new stalls in the Brikama market. We are well aware that this construction works has inconvenienced the road users and also market users. So we want to appeal to all those who are affected to be very patient as we seek, to implement this project, because we are very hopeful that this project will be completed on time, and then it will therefore, facelift Brikama and also provide improved access, to the health center and also other facilities around the market.
Modulamin Sanyang, the Councillor of Wasadu Ward, and Araba Bojang, the Councillor of Bantanja Ward, on behalf of their beneficiary communities, thank the management of Brikama Area Council for bringing the much-needed water project to their communities. They assured the officials of their continuous support, express readiness to work with the VDCs to sustain the boreholes. The chairman of Brikama Area Council, Sirifo Sonko, expresses delight, saying that it is a mandate of the council to provide social services to its taxpayers.
Since colonial time, Fonyi is a very peaceful region, and with a low crime rate, we still appealing to the people of the Gambia, especially the people of Fonyi, to embrace the peace that they are having, or they are creating between themselves, to maintain it, and to talk to each other than to talk about each other. The people of Fonyi are the same; they are equal Gambians, and we, the heads of this region, also didn't see Fonyi as the backbenchers, but the same as someone living in Burfoot, someone living in Brikama, or anywhere in Kombo, is as the same person who is living somewhere in Kalaji or any other part of Fonyi. So I am therefore appealing for everyone to embrace peace and not to allow the politician to come to divide us. If when we do this, we will be able to accommodate each other peacefully.
The need for access to clean and safe water remains a challenge to many communities in the Gambia, especially those in the rural regions. These communities, which need access to water for daily vegetable production and their animals' drinking points, welcome the project, saying their water woes will soon come to an end once they are completed. For QTV News, Lamin Alaifandin Dabo.
And that report by Lamin Dabo will lead us to the commercial break, but we will be right back.
Ramadan Mubarak from Ajib Bank Limited. This Ramadan, when you open a savings account with Ajib Bank Limited, you will receive a free passbook. And when you open a current or salary account with the bank, you will receive a checkbook for free. Ajib Bank Limited is the only Islamic bank in the Gambia, and we share profits with our clients. So why wait? Visit any Ajib Bank Limited branch today and open your savings account, current or salary account, and enjoy the halal beauty of Islamic banking in line with the Sharia. Ajib Bank Limited, your investment partner.
Welcome back. Be reminded you're watching QTV News, coming to you live from our studios along Caraba Avenue, and I'm Ansumane Sonyasi. Now, in 2018, ECOWAS stakeholders met in Abidjan for the first Hydrometer and Disaster Risk Reduction Forum. This week, officials met again in Banjul to consolidate the achievements of the first forum. Jennifer Sonko reports.
The Hydrometer and DRR Forum aims to build consensus and momentum to transform weather, water and climate information services for climate-resilient growth, adaptation planning and sustainable development. Gambia continues to suffer an unfavorable climate burden on lives and livelihoods. The Gambia has a low-lying coast and therefore is highly vulnerable to the impacts of sea level rise. Experts predict that a sea level rise of 1 meter would submerge close to 10% of the country's total land area, including the capital Banjul, hotels and built infrastructures. Considering our vulnerability, hosting the Hydrometer and Disaster Risk Reduction Forum this year is important for the Gambia. It provides an opportunity to learn from the lessons of other countries. The Minister of Fisheries and Water Resources, James F.P. Gomez, elaborates.
The Gambia has been faced with numerous capacity challenges to overcome the situation. This also is closely related with clash of interest over resources. weakening social cohesion, and inadequate interest in environmental issues. The Integrated African Strategy on Meteorology, Weather and Climate Service of the African Ministerial Conference on Meteorology, and particularly the adaptation of ECOWAS Hydrometer initiative, would provide opportunities to enhance national capacities and a serious resource gap for institutions that should support the production of tailor-made weather and climate information.
The UN recommends that countries devise robust programs to forecast and respond to floods, to minimize their impact by organizing prevention, improving planning, and speeding reaction times. Dr. Siga Fatima Jan, Commissioner Social Affairs and Gender ECOWAS Commission, stressed the same during her deliberations.
Disasters, directly or indirectly, are caused by natural hazards and result in significant loss of life and set back economic and social development globally. The West African region has its own share in the current global trends of natural and human-induced disasters over the last decades. Disasters emanating from hydrological and climatologically hazards such as floods, coastal erosion, and droughts, among others, have resulted in serious destructions of basic infrastructure, disruption of livelihoods in coastal areas, urban cities, and communities in our region.
The event is jointly organized by the ECOWAS Commission, the World Bank, and the World Meteorological Organization. Over a 3-day period, stakeholders are expected to work together to underscore regional leadership for strengthening weather, water, and climate services in their global public good function for climate risk management, climate adaptation, and disaster risk management. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Basonko.
St. John's School for the Deaf Basse Annex on Tuesday received food items from Kashmir African Deaf Children's Trust, KADECT, through an organization called Helping Charity. Alaji A.F. Jallo reports.
An African Deaf Children's Trust, a UK-registered charity founded in 2015, which provides support for education, training, and health matters to people with disability in India, Pakistan, and the Gambia. At the presentation, Sajo Sar, the National Coordinator of Helping Charity, said it is important to help children with special needs in society and call on the government to support children with special needs.
Special needs are part of us. They are differently disabled, but that doesn't mean that they are not able to do things. They have a life like we all do. They are all our family members, and what normal people can do, deaf can do as well. It's a shame that the required attention is not given to the deaf people. Let them send them to the schools. Let them encourage them. Even them sending them to school is not enough. Most of them, when they send them to school, and that's the end of it. It's their duty to go around the school and see what they have been engaged in.
The school's head teacher, Nicholas Kujabe, highlighted some of the challenges they face and called on the National Assembly members to approve the disability bill.
Yeah, we face a lot of problems because it's always difficult to have money to support the children, because here in this school we provide books, we provide pencils, we provide every necessary materials that the children needed. There is human being is a human being. Deaf have right to live like a human being, has right to learn, has right for education, has right for everything, even has right to be a president. The society themselves need to support the deaf children so that they can be what they want to be. I think we are trying for this, so that the National Assembly to sign the bill of the disability bill, so that anywhere they go, they will able to, people will accept them as disability people.
Mr. Kujabe went further to say this.
We also have children from CRR, some children from Fatoto, Koina, Sambi, and those around the riverside there. Many of them want to come and attend this school. But we have only 3 classrooms, and yet The main problem is there's no place for the children to stay.
Through a sign language teacher, Lamin Ba, a student at St. John's, thanked the donors for the support and echoed the call for government support.
Saying that is very, very happy for your community and also for your support for community and support the children, but they are deaf and some of them they are minor in the society. But you people, if you come here and you help them, it's a pleasure to them. If the government can help them, like in terms of work, but when they graduate from school, they will also have their own department and work also and take responsibility of their family and help their family.
The school authorities are delighted with the donation and say it will go a long way towards mitigating some of their feeding challenges. Nevertheless, they are calling on organizations and philanthropists for more assistance. For QTV News, I am Alaji F. Jallo.
And from that report by Alaji F. Jallo, we will take a look at business news in a moment. And talking about business news, here are the foreign currency exchange rates for the Gambian dalasi against major currencies for the week.
Exchange rates for the Gambian dalasi against the range of major currencies for the week, commencing Monday, 19th April 2021. Against the US dollar, the dalasi is buying at 49.75 and selling at 51.75 dalasi. Against the euro, the dalasi is buying at 59 and selling at 62.75 dalasi. Against the pound sterling, the dalasi is buying at 65.75 and selling at 71.50. Against the sefa, the dalasi is buying at 415 and selling at 460 dalasi. The daily currency rate on QTV's news is brought to you by Ajib Bank, your investment partner.
And over now to international news. Now, former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has been convicted of murdering George Floyd, whose death last May sparked worldwide protests against racism and fueled the Black Lives Matter movement. More in this report.
Crowds gathered in and outside the heavily fortified courthouse, those outside listening to proceedings inside on their mobile phones, as one of the U.S.'s most high-profile murder cases reached its conclusion after a 3-week trial. Many people had been skeptical that Chauvin would be convicted of murder because police officers in the U.S., critics say, are seldom charged when they kill someone in the line of duty, let alone convicted. And there have been many such cases where the deceased is a black person. When the guilty verdict was announced, wild cheers immediately went up with people chanting all 3 counts and whose victory? Our victory. Car horns blared and people ran through the joyous traffic jams waving flags. The jury in Minneapolis had returned guilty verdicts of 2nd-degree murder, 3rd-degree murder and manslaughter after what U.S. media says was about 10 hours deliberation. The 2nd-degree murder count, the most serious charge, carries a prison sentence of up to 40 years. 6 of the jurors were white, 4 were black, and 2 multiracial. As the verdict was announced, Chauvin, in face mask, listened quietly, and the only visible reaction was his eyes darting around the room. After the verdict was read, he was led away in handcuffs. George Floyd's brother, Philanese, was the only family member in court, and after the guilty verdicts were proclaimed, he said, and I quote, "I was just praying they would find him guilty. As an African American, we usually never get justice." A lawyer for the Floyd family, Benjamin Crump, has been quoted saying, and I quote, "Justice for Black America is justice for all of America. This case is a turning point in American history for accountability of law enforcement and sends a clear message we hope is heard clearly in every city and every state." According to a video posted by the lawyer, President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and Jill Biden, the First Lady, have called members of the Floyd family moments after the verdict. And Biden told the family, and I quote, "Nothing is going to make it all better, but at least now there is some justice." He added, "We are also relieved." A wave of relief also swept across large parts of Minneapolis, which was badly hit by riots and looting in the days after Floyd's death. At George Floyd Square, the makeshift memorial that has grown up in the street where Chauvin killed him, the celebrating crowds welcomed the verdict and expressed relief. Hundreds of National Guard troops had been deployed around the city in preparation for an acquittal. 45-year-old Derek Chauvin was filmed last May kneeling on the neck of a 46-year-old black man, George Floyd, for more than 9 minutes during an arrest in Minneapolis. Floyd's death touched off worldwide protests against racial injustice, and Chauvin's trial became one of the most closely watched U.S. court cases in years. And even with his prosecution, the case hasn't ended. 3 other officers face trial later this year, accused of aiding and abetting murder and manslaughter. Chauvin is expected to appeal, although, according to experts, he will face an uphill struggle to get the verdicts overturned, given that murder convictions are overwhelmingly upheld. Biden has hailed the verdict as a potential to be a moment of significant change, but acknowledged that such verdicts were much too rare, and many critics remain skeptical about the significance of Chauvin's prosecution, in part because the case was built around accusing the officer of failing to follow procedure and training, rather than examining the fundamental issues around policing in the U.S., including the use of force. In fact, just moments before the verdict was read in Minneapolis, news of a fatal shooting of a teenage black girl by an officer in Columbus, Ohio, hit the airwaves, casting an immediate pall over public expressions that justice had been served in Mr. Floyd's case. According to one analyst, the conviction is a milestone in the ongoing struggle for black equality, but it is a long way from being an endpoint. Chauvin's prosecution might have brought about a racial reckoning, but that is not the same thing as a racial reconciliation. The U.S. has a lot to walk through in relation to policing and race issues. A day after the verdict, the Justice Department announced a federal investigation into policing practices in the city of Minneapolis. The Justice Department will look at whether there has been a pattern of unconstitutional or unlawful policing, according to Attorney General Merrick Garland. In this case, however, the feeling is that justice has been done. For QTV News, I am Mamadou Mbouch.